Hey, good morning, YouTube. So, I am working again this morning on the gamer video background. So, this was, again, a track I'm writing for to go with a gamer's video of their gameplay afterwards, so that they've got some music that's got a nice little intro or a build up, and then some music that can sit in the background while they're talking over their videos. Yesterday, one of the funny things was I was working with one of the tracks and trying to get a piece of automation done that for some reason I couldn't quite figure out why it wasn't working, which I got to the bottom of today, which is really simple. The automation for the ride fade works on a percentage basis of where you have the ride on the instrument rack. For some reason, I had forgotten that the envelopes don't necessarily adjust something directly, but rather will adjust something based on the percentage. So, for example, I really want this ride fade out as a general rule for most of the track to be sitting right around here, about 132, so that there's a nice little ride that goes along with. You'll hear it here. So as a general rule, that kind of sits pretty nicely in the track. But when I get here, I actually want this to be a little bit shorter, something more like this. Because this is going to be a little scaled down section. So realistically, I want this fade out at 475 or so, which means that for the other tracks, I really want that at sitting at about 25% of 474. So if I set it there at 474, come to these, go to the fade out, and pull this down to about 25%. And then do that for these tracks as well. Now I've got these named. You can see that there's some duplication here. Each of them are different. I like to have even my items, like my symbols, I like to have some variations running, and these are very minor variations. It's really just the last hit of the hat that is the variation. So I'm replacing those. Then this is pattern 3. There we go. So now these should be full length again. And you can see I've put some velocity range in for them as well. And then it drops down to a shorter ride. I don't know why I had forgotten that yesterday while we were working on it, but that was the problem with why the ride symbol wasn't shortening up when I wanted it to here. So again, the goal of what we're doing here is I'm creating sections of the track so that you've got your stinger intro to build up, and then it can sit in the background and go through some melodic variation or some harmonic variation, so that it doesn't become stale and boring, but also sits quietly without trying to compete with what the streamer is talking about in their video. So it's going to have sections that break down and get very quiet, and that's what we were working on yesterday here, that ran into that little trouble with the symbol. So I see that may have gotten a little bit shorter than I wanted. Not that much, but just a tad. So we're going to take that up. Now that, of course, will adjust the length of these as well. But that's fine. That was running full length anyway beforehand. Now we had also worked on bringing in a slower melodic bass. That's not gliding much at all, and that's probably because I've got it in mono. I'm thinking, so probably want to adjust that a little bit so that we kind of cool. I do look forward to playing with the MPE stuff pretty soon. I've got a push downstairs. I just don't have that. I don't have that in my rig up here. I actually have two rigs for my setup. I have one rig up here at my in my house, and then one rig actually I've got set up in my basement in a small studio. So I will at some point go play with the MPE stuff. I just upgraded to Live 11. I guess about maybe a week ago, and so at the end of the day, I haven't had a chance to play with everything yet. So, okay, got a little bit of release there at the end that time. There we go. Now the other thing I did after working on it yesterday was I brought in a sub bass as well to sit underneath, which I actually liked the way that worked overall. So I brought that sub bass into all of my basses. So this is now just sitting down on the bottom. Which I hear actually a conflict in this variant of it because this drops down back to the G, and this was hanging out on A sharp. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it moved a little early, didn't it? It sounds like... Also sounds like I've got a little bit too much high end in that. Yeah, there we go. Now when it sits here, whoops, let's do this and do this. And you hear that compressor's clicking just a little bit. Nope, nope, see, that one stayed up on the G. Or up on the A sharp. B flat, sorry. I hate that it does that. I don't know that I've ever learned a way to do that where I can change it to where instead of giving me an A sharp, it gives me a B flat and it stays. Well, I wonder if I use the new scale feature. If it automatically adjusts the notes in there. That's interesting. So let's try that. We're going to put this in G minor and see. Boom. That's interesting. I really haven't used this feature much yet, so put it in G major and put it back in G minor. That's interesting. I wonder why that's not working. I wonder if it's... No, because I'm on a track that's got... I'm down here, right? I wonder if that's because these others... I can't imagine that would be dependent on the others in the Scene. I'll have to look into that to figure out why. Let's just pull all that. It's all G minor. Oh, that's interesting. I had never seen that. I think that's new in 11. That's a new button. I hadn't seen that. Okay, but nonetheless, here we go. That's a pretty thick, nice little thick bass now. And the real question is, do these two conflict with each other? No, I think they actually sit okay together. I might be able to take a little bit of the bottom end out of this one. I've got that suspended bass down there, or sustained bass down there at the bottom now. That's still nice. And then you just add this one and it just fills out. Okay. Now, I'm not really mixing any of this yet. I'm still working on the core arrangement, so I'm not worried about the fact that it sounds a little bit, it's a little bit clashy right now, but we'll fix all that up later. So again, here's our main hook. It's kind of our first quiet section. I actually kind of like the idea of shortening these. Now here we've got a section that is just melody and rhythm. Again, we're not worried about mix here. That leads a little quiet, but we'll fix that up. Alright, so I like that. So this will be hook variation 4. Okay. Now, I feel like this is nice and pared down, but I feel like it needs something different in addition. So I'm thinking, why don't we try some hats? Now I've got all my samples organized in my own little sample section here. So I've got all my stuff broken out, and I can just kind of look. This is my compilation of all of my samples that I've collected over the years. I think maybe something like that. Now, I still will break out my tracks. Having difficulty remembering what my keyboard shortcut is. I thought it was Control-Shift-M, but I guess not. Oh, my problem here is not that. My problem here is that I'm actually on an audio rack, and I wanted to be on a MIDI track. That's the problem. Okay, so I still organize my drums generally with one drum part per track, only because if I want to do I usually will freeze my drum tracks down, and I like to have them on individual tracks at that point. I'll do individual groupings inside the drum rack. I've never gotten to a point where I really run the individual racks, because setting up the routing to go to sends and whatnot always gets to be a pain in the neck. But alright, so let's take a look here. Let's add our MIDI track, our MIDI clip, and now we should have. Okay. Now I'll put two, for example. I will do, for example, a closed and a open hat, so that I can, because those two things are going to be related to each other. Now, what do I want this to sound like? I kind of think this wants to go on the offbeats. So let's see what we can do. You for a minute. Yeah, see, I like that. That's going to sit just on the offs. We'll do our variations here in a second. Just feels a touch pushed, right? Feels a touch early. Or is that late? Let's see. Let me see that sample. Yeah, see that sample's got some. Right, okay. Something I haven't tried since we have the new. Interesting. I don't know how to. Used to be that if you did that and then hit Control down here in the velocity section, you could draw slope, and that is new. So these the velocity range is new. No. 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 So I wonder if we've lost that feature. That's kind of interesting, because I used to like to with the probability stuff built in now, you can. Right, so that sits nice in the background. Now, this should probably be this. And okay, I like that sitting quietly in the background. In fact, that's probably going to be that's probably going to be nice that we can throw that into some other sections as well. So we'll keep working with that. Now, one of the other things I wanted to work on today was down here. I've got just the one instrument rack right now. And that's the overall track tools. Let's see what I got here. So this instrument rack. So those track tools, that track tool is sitting specifically on that rack. Now, what I'm thinking is one of the things I'd like to do with this melody is have this melody transition amongst different instruments. So I'm thinking that we want to pop this. Let's go here and let's look for some other instruments that we can bring in. I like that pluck. But if we also bring in some other... not a huge fan of the glide. They didn't give it to me on there. I'm not going to spend much time. Put it on the main theme. Alright, so that's kind of cool sounding. We'll leave that one in for a moment. And I wouldn't mind something just truly different, so... not quite that different. I love this new feature where you can have macro groupings already set up. Oh, I kind of like that because I can automate that to make this a little more interesting. That delay is a little excessive. In fact, that probably sits pretty nicely with this one. Okay, that's cool. See, we might even get away with something funky like that. Let's see. A little boring. See, I'd almost like something that's like a distorted guitar, which I may record a guitar part on it. So it is interesting that I don't know. Yeah. Let's try this. Some of this stuff may sound a little weird until you get it in there, and it sounds weird after you get it in there. Yeah, close. I think that was actually kind of cool, but no. That's a little crazy sounding, but let's see what that does. No. Ah, see, that's kind of meaty. They kind of go together nice. I could see fading that in underneath the main to get a nice little variation. Okay, so I like that. see about that. That's off key. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. Nope. Maybe. Let's see what we got here. Nope. You know, the stuff that's got sort of modulation built into it like this can be interesting sometimes, because those modulations can sometimes do odd things that just end up sounding great. So even though it sounds a little weird sometimes to throw it when you listen to the sample, I might throw it on just to see where it comes out. Now, so that's kind of a neat little pared down. Throw a little bit of variation in there. I'm sure that's connected to the velocity sensitivity. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I've actually forgotten where that is. It's got to be on here somewhere. It should be on here, I would imagine. Oh, those might be on the individuals. Huh. Oh, it's got a velocity plugin at the front. Okay, interesting. Okay, got it. So that one kind of goes nice too. Now, what I think I could do is I can just do a series of automation lanes for these volumes. I could get all tricky and end up with some knobs that, you know, allow me to fade the different volumes amongst them. But I think the easiest thing I can do is just throw up the automation lanes and then just play with the amount of relative volume that I have for each section. And what I'll do is, as I make the arrangements here, I will use a variety of these instruments to then make the melody kind of hand off between the different instruments. Maybe do some panning, put some left and right, etc. Again, trying to make it unobtrusive for the streamer, yet interesting enough that if someone hears it in the background, it's not just droning on and on and on and on with the same thing. So. So like that one's nice because it just makes it sound more full. And that will be very nice for a quiet section. So for example, we take this one here. Over here, rather. Something nice and quiet sitting in the background there for the quieter themes. Okay, interesting. I like that. All right, so I think that's enough for today. If you are checking out my video, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. And look forward to part 3. Thanks, everyone.